I do that, I want to test it. So I'll send out a few notes. He sent out one note and he got a response from me.
Let's give people a little introduction about what is handwritten, how you got into it, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Frankie. This is fun. So Handwritten is now 9 years old. We are the oldest and I believe largest provider of automated thank you notes and penned notes in the world. We do that with 175 robots that we build in our facility in Phoenix. So if you're ever in Phoenix, stop on by and I'm happy to give you a tour. We build them, program them, all that here, and then we put them to work writing out notes at scale. Prior to this, I did text messaging. That's why I was, before the show, I was asking about Chicago. I spent 16 years there building my last company, which was a relatively large text messaging company. We did all the texting for Abercrombie and Fitch and Sam's Club, Toys R Us, Office Max, sold that company, had to work for the new owners for 2 years. And in that time, working for the new owners, I realized what we were doing was kind of part of the problem, part of the noise, because everybody was getting so many texts and so many emails and starting, it was before Slack and all that, but starting to get all those additional chat messages. And I wanted to figure out my next messaging business, but in a way that could kind of break through the noise. And I saw handwritten notes as kind of that way.
Yeah. And I can confirm, actually, we'll get into some examples in just a minute, but nobody gets anything in the mail. I mean, I always say, like, I joke about it with people, but like, there's only really two things you get in the mail now, which is our threatening notices that you owe us money, pay by this date, or we're going to club you, cut you off, beat your head in, those kind of things. And then just like junk mail, just mass produced flyers. And
Yeah.
there is a real power to getting a handwritten note in the mail from somebody just saying, like, hey, we appreciate you. Like, that is such a
Yeah.
lost art. So I just say thank you for even just bringing that into existence, because candidly, it's been, besides being a useful tool, like, it's made us a lot of fucking money. So for those of you guys who would just want to use it entirely for selfish reasons, I would start there, because handwritten will make you a lot of money. I don't know if you have any thoughts that you want to add to that before I get into it.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a buddy, I don't know, not a buddy, a guy I know in Chicago. He was looking for a house on the kind of the North Shore area, and he couldn't find anything because the market's bonkers. So he's like, I'm going to use you and just send out notes to everybody in the area and say I'd be willing to buy your house, right? So he's like, but before I do that, I want to test it. So I'll send out a few notes. He sent out one note and he got a response from it. And I'm like, dude, you can't, that sample size is too small, but it works. But yeah, I mean, we hear this kind of all the time. Like, we have, and the example I always give is this piano tuner in Pennsylvania. He goes in your house, tunes your piano once a year, doesn't see you again for a year because your piano stays tuned for a year. But after he tunes your piano, he sends you a handwritten note through our system. And then when he goes back to your house a year later, that note is often still standing up on the piano. So not only is it open, not only is it read, but it's put on display, which is like no other form. You know, if you send them a text, they're not going to print it out and stick it.
Nobody's going to frame your
like,
text message a year later and say, look,
yeah, right.
David
Or they
me
just frame the iPhone. They just plug it in and frame it, right?
Yeah.
No, but it's like the only thing that resonates in that way. And it's really kind of crazy. And to your point, like, nobody gets handwritten notes anymore. Least, there's this marketing guy, Joe Polish.
Yeah.
And he says the least utilized, you're familiar with him?
Yeah, lots of our folks in our world know Joe. I don't know that everybody does, but lots of our folks in our world know Joe. Yeah.
He says, or one of his people says, the least utilized inbox is the one at the end of the driveway. Like,
100%.
It's true. Like, it used to be the other way around, but now that everybody's pivoting digital, you're not going to stand out in that noise unless you kind of pivot analog.
Yeah, it's the ultimate. Like, I'm a huge advocate of direct mail for everything you just described, because it zigs when everyone else sags, and I'll tell you, it allows you to, like you said, stand out from the noise. We're primarily using it for like three purposes in our business, and I would wonder if after I kind of share these, if you could kind of elaborate on some other maybe uses that you see really common and it could be beneficial. The first use is, I think, one of the easiest low hanging fruit is whenever somebody buys something from us, we have a Zap that automatically sends a handwritten note. So as soon
Yep.
as somebody buys, they get a handwritten thank you. I get so many messages about this. People go, "I got your note," and I don't always have the heart to tell them that automation sent it out in the mail, but like there's a real impact of like a handwritten note uh, in the mail thanking you for the action you just took. It. And I used to have a mentor who would always say, "We noticed that whenever you if somebody sent us a referral or something like that, if we said thank you and like kind of acknowledge them in some way, whether it was a phone call or a text or a letter, um, one referral suddenly became two and two suddenly became four because like, you know, they were being appreciated. So that's the first, I think, lowest hanging fruit is like when somebody buys, says thank you. We do this all our courses, all our products, all our agency service, all our masterminds. It doesn't matter what you buy, you're getting thanked for it. That's part of the process. Second use is we build a lot of strategic relationships with influencers. I wonder actually if I should be the first one to send you a handwritten letter, because that would be really, really funny for you to get uh, one of those in the
Yeah.
mail. But you know, one of the things is a lot of people tell me like, hey, like we have some pretty heavy hitters, like, you know, like for example, you know, a lot of people have commented on the stuff I've done with Jay Abraham. Like what they don't know is what they don't see behind the scenes is, you know, I send Jay's, not just Jay, a handwritten thank you letter, but his assistant for making it happen and the people who like support him. And I actually remember getting a message from his assistant Desiree, like holding it up like, holy shit, nobody's ever sent me a handwritten letter. Like this is the most amazing
Well,
thing.
that's funny. That's funny because I don't know how long ago it was, but I spoke to Desiree and Jay 2 or 3 years ago, and they were interested in collaborating. And it's so funny that how quickly they forget, you know?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, to your first point, I call it a full stop thank you. Like everybody wants to measure everything nowadays. And it's like, here's a thank you note with a coupon, or, you know, here's a thank you email with a QR code, and it just ruins it. Or realtors, thanks for buying this house. If you happen to know anybody else, I'm not too busy for your referral. It just ruins the thank you,
Yeah.
as opposed to just saying thank you and stopping there. I mean, I guess this is just an ideology difference. And, you know, whoever wants to use us, it's better than not using anyway. But I think just thanking somebody genuinely, or at least automatically genuinely, is way better than not doing it or doing it insincerely by including some call to action to measure or try to squeeze that lemon a little bit more. So I totally agree. And I don't know, forgive me, I don't know enough about your business, but if you're doing Shopify, we now have a Shopify plugin. Certainly we have Zapier and all these other ways to make that easy for you guys.
Yeah. Shout out. I'll tag him in the comments, but Martin Fraley set it up for us. For those of you guys who are interested in adding something like that, you know, he has the capacity to do that. And the little piece, like you said, it's, even though it's automatically like it's written in my voice, and like you said, it's just a thank you. There's no like thank you. And hey guys, if you like this video, you'll probably also like our free Facebook group, Beyond Agency Profits, Agency Lifestyle Design. You can get free copies of the book inside here. I look ridiculous. We're doing weekly Q&As, giving answers to all your questions. Some of the best, smartest, brightest people. We've got lots of industry leaders doing 7, 8 figures and beyond. It's a literal who's who of the brightest agency owners that I know, as well as lots of tips on scaling and stuff, books that work. So if you're not already part of it, you're going to want to be part of it. So make sure to click the link. I put it in the description of the video as well as in the pinned top comment below. So just scroll down and you can join, and it's totally free.